Hey, it's Amanda Tero.
And I'm Anita Heath.
And we are Chelsea-Michelle.
And Chelsea-Michelle is our pen name for our cozy mysteries that we're writing together. This is the Watson twins, Chelsea and Michelle.
And you can get this novella, our prequel novella, for free. We'll have the link in the description so you can get to it by signing up for our newsletter.
All right, so we're going to talk about what's it like working together, because we are actually both authors for Christian genres separately.
Yeah.
And you are?
I'm YA Christian historical fiction. Some contemporary, actually. But...
And what do you publish under?
Amanda Tero. I publish under my real name.
I publish, what have I published? Christian romance, both contemporary and historical, under A.M. Heath.
So whenever we talked about doing this together, we've debated a lot about, do we do our names? Like, how do we do this? And we've just figured it would be easier to do a pen name, because then my readers, you know, if they're expecting YA, then they'll get YA. And her readers, if they're expecting non-mystery, you know, cozy reads, they'll get that, and it just makes it easier. So that's why we came up with Chelsea-Michelle, which is the name of our two characters, because we couldn't come up with a better name.
No,
it was just perfect.
Yeah, it worked out really well. We kept trying to collaborate. You know, how do you blend Anita and Amanda? You know,
yeah,
into some weird combinations.
We were like coming up with, like, I know I was playing with different last names, like combining our last name
it
letters.
It was hideous. Be glad that I was like, no.
So hopefully Chelsea-Michelle will be easy enough to remember. So so this is actually not our first project to work on together.
Right.
We had two other authors with us. We did the Librarian of Willow Hollow series. It's a 4 novella series set during Great Depression, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And so it was me, Anita, Faith Blum, and Alicia Ruggiero. So you can look those up. They're still available. They're all historical fiction and more in our standard genre. So this is completely different.
Yeah, very different.
So how we came about this.
Yeah, well, that was one of the questions that the readers had asked, was how did we start writing together? And it does date back to the
2019.
Yeah, the Willow Hollow series. We were closing in on publishing that series, and we were already talking mysteries, but we were talking separate mysteries. And I was watching that Willow Hollow collaboration come to a close, and I was like, you know what?
It's really fun to do a collaboration.
It really is. And so we were always in constant communication because we were good friends already, and so we were talking daily, and then we got to asking, you know, like, what would we do if we did something together? And then the answer was, mysteries.
Yeah. So. And I think from my angle, it started off with getting the cozy mystery idea. So my character, Chelsea, is a bank teller. And at the time, one of my sisters was a bank teller, and she came back and was telling me about different things that she had seen in the bank or whatever. I'm like, you know, there's not a cozy mystery series that I know of where the sleuth is a bank teller. Like, there's so much good information a bank teller has access to, and not legally exactly, but you know, you suspend disbelief for the sake of it. So I know that was kind of like, one day I want to write something where the mystery girl is, you know, a bank teller. So I know that's another angle where it kind of started out from. Yeah. And twins, how did we come up with the twins?
I think it was just what is not out there. And
we knew we had to have a separate character. We could not share a character.
No, definitely not.
We're friends, but we love each other, but give me my person, you have your person.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing, you know, when we collaborated in the Willow Hollow series, every author had their own book. And so in that series, they worked in the same library. And so we worked with each other, but they had their own storyline, their own set of characters. Some crossover and some didn't, obviously. But with this, we would definitely be collaborating very closely, and that was very different. Early, actually, we were talking about writing separate books.
We were. Yeah, I forgot about that. I did, because I would write one from my character's point of view, and you would write one from your character's point of view. But no, what it's turned out, and I love how it's turning out, is we share, like, we do chapters. One twin starts and then the next twin, and then so it's like every other twin has a chapter, and it works out really well that way.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah. It could have worked the other way, but I think this is working better.
Oh, yeah. Oh, because then you see there's so much more with the relationship building. And, you know, especially with the twins, like her twin's making some of the decisions that my twin disapproves of. And yes, you'll get into all of that. And so, but you're seeing like, why does Michelle think the way she does? And then why does Chelsea think the way she does? And so it's giving both of their perspectives on the same thing. Yeah. So yeah, I love the way it's working out.
Let's see, what else did they want to know? Oh, how is it working out?
So we are very different personalities. Very, very. We have a lot of similarities.
We do.
But also have a lot of differences in personality. And one of them that we've recently discovered is the way we write. Like we both think of ourselves as pantsters. You know, we don't write by extreme outline and all of that. But I have to have a lot more written down, and I have to have a lot more in front of me. She stores it all in her head, and we can literally talk about something, and the next day I'm like, what did we decide about? I do not remember. I have to have it in front of my head. So she's done this awesome job of making an outline of everything that she sees, where it goes, where all the pieces go, because she sees it. I don't. I have to have it written down to see it. So that's one thing that we figured out. Oh, we're going to have to do this. And we did not figure that out for the novella because it was so short.
Right.
But working on a full-length novel, which these are going to be full-length novels, at least 80,000 words probably.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
it should be about what, 200 pages?
I don't know. I've never published something this big before.
Somewhere around that.
So yeah, so a really nice solid read.
Yeah.
Though it's a lot harder to juggle this, and you can't just go off of the fly by the seat
cannot.
so much. So yeah, so that's one thing for me that I've realized that, oh, I'm learning about how I am as a writer.
Yeah. One of the interesting things is that because she does write, she writes more in chronological order.
Oh.
So one chapter after another, and we are alternating chapters. Mm-hmm. So she's got odd number in this book, and I've got even. And what we're finding is that I am definitely more of a wild card. I've been spending
She's like,
time
ooh, I got this idea for scene like for chapter 28
of book 4.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, hello, what are we doing for this book right here? I need to know what Michelle does so I can figure out what Chelsea does.
It's been really interesting. But a lot of the way that I write is that I am looking ahead into later down the road into their story, and just kind of really picking up those big hearty moments, you know, those big conversations or the big fights, whichever, and really getting to the root of why does Michelle think the way she does? Why is she feeling this way? And then being able to trace it back to book 1. And
which
is
very opposite of how I work, and I think it's really good because it's making me think ahead. And so when you get book 1, there are things that we've already got established for future books, and we are laying the foundation. And that to me is really cool because I've never actually done this before. I've never done it.
And what's really neat for the reader is that you're going to want to read these books in order. Mm-hmm. You know, while every book you pick up, you're going to get a full story, a full mystery. You're going to have all the clues on the table to solve that mystery in that book. However, if you're paying attention and reading in order, you're going to see some clues already being grafted into the stories.
And hopefully you'll get to some books and you'll be like, oh my goodness, this was what in book such and such. That's what we hope. We hope for a lot of those. And also what we'd love is we love to hear your predictions as you read. So if you have any predictions, even from the novella, we already have some people who are rooting for certain things in the novella. And we have certain things decided. Now, we have some things that we might change on, but there's some things...
I can't think of it.
Some minor things, but there's some things that we've discussed. It's no, this is how it's going to end up. This is who this twin is going to end up with. We're not going to give any spoilers, but we know who each twin ends up with. Yeah. And most likely they're set in stone. Most likely.
I think so.
At this point. I'm pretty sure they're set in stone.
This is the one who does not write... with the end game in mind. I've already got the last scene. I've actually got the last scene.
And here's the other thing too. I do not decide quickly. I do not. And so there was a moment where she's like, wait, I thought we already decided that. I'm like, oh, did we? I thought I was still mulling over this. So we have learned much about communicating. Yeah. So now I'm much more okay, yes, this is decided. Yeah. Whenever I give the decision, if I'm not sure about it, I'm like, okay, let me think about this a little bit longer, because I do not decide quickly.
Yeah, I do have to just come out and ask her, yes or no? Yes, no, or maybe. Tell me. Because if we've decided and we both like the idea, I count it as stone. And you have to remember, I'm altering our outline both for the one book and the entire series in my head. And so we'll talk about something, and I'm shifting things around, and then she's like, oh, we're doing this. I'm like, why were we backtracking? Why are we re-brainstorming the thing we discovered? But we're getting the communication down, and it's been really great.
Yeah. And I think what's really important, because I know a lot of people are probably interested in co-authoring, for me, the things that are really important is already have a good foundation of friendship. Like, that to me is really important, because you have to be on the same page. Like, we're on the same page doctrinally, which is a huge thing, because we write Christian cozy mysteries. Like, yeah, they're clean, and you can have people who are different denominations, Christian or whatever, and they can get along. But because faith is such an important aspect, I feel like that's really important, that we are on the same page. We've discussed a lot of things. What we're different about is personalities, but that is what makes our series shine. Because, like, Chelsea is very Chelsea, and Michelle is very Michelle.
Right.
And, yeah, so yeah, it's a different, co-authors do things differently. And some people, I was listening to an audiobook, and they said that they co-authored they basically each write each scene together. I'm not sure how they do it, but I'm like, oh yeah, I don't think that would work for us. Think that would work for us. It works really well to have our little chapters.
I think some chapters though we do write together, and this is actually really very fun because we'll take a little piece of dialogue, and we'll have our character, of course, and we'll just start that conversation, and then it'll be in Facebook Messenger of all places.
Oh yes.
And then the next one will come back with, her response, and we just go back and forth. And we have written actually a legit scene that way. And,
for Facebook Messenger. Yeah. And that is where it makes it easier for me to write, because then it's like I just sent her a scene, was it last night or night before last? I had, Chelsea and Michelle were going back and forth about something, and Chelsea had this really good final say, and I'm like, what would Michelle even say to that? What would she come back and say? Because I'm like, for me, Chelsea's got it. She has rocked that scene. She's won that argument. Well, what does Michelle have left to say?
Well, she had something else to say.
But Michelle had something else to say, of course, but so I love that I can pick someone else's brain and fill in that gap.
And I think it's neat because our characters are so much like us that it really is just, that's how I would have responded to that. And it's been a lot of fun. I think one of the biggest pros to writing, co-authoring together is being able to share the burden,
Oh yes.
There's different strengths and being able to, and that's something like we were talking about in the outline, that's something that we're learning, that, while we co-decide so much, there are areas where we're stronger separately, and we can entrust that over to the other person, and that's been really cool. I don't have to format anything.
Oh, I am sitting here I cannot wait until we have something ready and edited so I can format it. I'm so excited about formatting it.
Gross. I hate it. I hate it. But I think one of the biggest downfalls is you are working together on everything, and so it is a joint decision. There's areas where I do make quick decisions, and I have to stop and wait for her to decide, get her permission, and it is just it's a learning curve, just learning how each other works and thinks. And you had said, for those thinking about co-authoring, open communication's key.
Oh yeah.
Forgiveness, and just really, really being honest. Okay, because it's come down to conversations where we've had to say, this is how I think. When I said this is what I'm thinking, this is how I'm processing, this is what I am literally mentally going through, and then because it's different. We're saying the same words, but we're not meaning the same thing. And so it really does matter. And just learning what the other person is actually saying,
right,
and being able to get on the same
learning
page.
how to communicate, and this is what you meant when you said such and such,
and
communicating about communicating.
Literally.
Really.
Yeah, it sounds geeky, I guess, but it has come down to the nitty gritty.
Well, that was the whole decision making thing. She's like, well, I thought we had that decided. I'm like, no, I wasn't ready to decide. So now I'm like, okay, now I know what I need to do to help her know where I am on the decision, and she's just gonna point blank ask me, have you decided? And just not getting your feelings hurt. That's a big one.
Yeah.
I just told her the other night, hey, I like mine such and such better than yours.
Which turned into a whole different sisterly argument.
Right, but it was a good argument. It wasn't like well, your opinion doesn't matter,
Yeah.
And respect. That's another one.
Right,
You gotta respect
right.
the other person's opinion.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, all the good things that just like good humanity. Good
Comes
Christian
into
humanity.
play.
Yeah, that really just is it.
Right. But it's a lot of fun too. The momentum coming off of this.
Yes.
Like, this is where co-authoring is really hitting the sweet spot, because we're progressing the story even where we're not actively working on the story.
Right.
I haven't written anything in a little while, and yet my story is being progressed because you're writing. And then when you've got breaks and I'm suddenly busy, we're still working. And then we're messaging, of course. I was working on this, and it's like, oh, me too, I need to go to, it's just, you feed off each other's energy so much.
Oh, right.
And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, well, we should do this again in about a year. See, okay, what do we say about co-authoring in a year?
Yeah.
Now that we've stuck it out through actually.
Yeah. I
doing the
think
nitty-gritty.
maybe in a year we'll be like, how did we get there? Like, it's all be a blur by then.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. We're definitely still in the learning stages.
And hopefully, like both of our hopes is like, it will get easier as we go, as we figure out. Because like I think a lot of it is we're just figuring out what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, and being open and honest about that.
It was just a week ago we were discovering the outline, strength and weakness.
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea you didn't see this laying out in your mind.
I have
had
to
no
write
clue.
it to see it. She writes it because she sees it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of times I don't write it unless I'm being made to. So that's different. Is that a person coming around?
It is.
Okay, all right.
I saw it, I'm like, wait, did I just see that before
like-
Anita? Because she is the Michelle who's like, wait, I just see someone.
I feel a shadow walking around behind me. Danger. Anyways, okay, well, we're going to come back and chat more about mysteries with you another day. And pick up the new novella.
And
get
ask
to
us
know.
any questions. Ask us any questions you're interested in. And yeah, we'll chat. Because we like chatting.
Bye.
Hey, it's Amanda.
And I'm Anita Heath.
And we are Chelsea-Michelle.
Sometimes we know what to talk about, sometimes we don't.
I think I was expecting you to take the lead on that one. I guess that's what we need to decide. Who's taking the lead?
Right.
I'll let you take the lead.
Okay.